Hey everybody, long time no see. Welcome to the last video in this series, and thank you for coming on this trip with me. Alright, now to move on to the main topic of this video, my takeaways. I'll start with something that affects me a little bit more personally and start shifting over towards what's happening here in Japan. The first of those takeaways is budgeting. This is a big one because, especially for someone who hasn't traveled abroad before, it was a little tough for me to try and figure out how to spend the right amount of money and when to spend it for 10 weeks in a foreign country. For one thing, grocery shopping is pretty interesting here because the portion sizes are pretty small, but if you're not careful you can end up spending a lot of money every time you go. The cash culture doesn't exactly help either, as you're constantly feeling like you need to have cash on you. In a more general sense from my experience, and this applies to anybody who wants to come to Japan, another issue I ran into was the language barrier. Now, I have been studying Japanese for 2 semesters back in America, and I feel somewhat confident in my basic skills. Even so, there were instances where I couldn't really pick up on what was being said, and it didn't exactly help me out. It was nice to have that basic comprehension of the language though, because I was able to do things for the group, such as ordering a karaoke room or a meal. Japanese can seem like a very difficult language for English speakers to learn, and that's because it is. But I can definitely say with confidence that basic comprehension goes a long way. Now to talk about what life was like here in Japan. One major difference that I noticed here was the convenience store culture. Now, I come from the East Coast, so Wawa does treat me pretty well. And if you're gonna defend Sheetz, I mean, the door's over there, you can just go. But the convenience stores here are on another level. The 3 main stores that you'll find here are Family Mart, 7-Eleven, and Lawson. Also, fun fact, and why don't I turn this into a pop quiz? Here's an open-ended question. Where did Lawson originate? There's only so many Japanese cities you can pick from, but all of them are wrong. Lawson actually started as a brand in Ohio in the United States. Oddly enough, the chain came to Japan and became one of the largest convenience store brands. Speaking of places coming from America to Japan, there have been a couple fast food restaurants that have really found success here. They would be, in my opinion, McDonald's, KFC, and Domino's and Pizza Hut. One of the things of being over here and watching other videos on YouTube is getting ads in Japanese. And so I'd get ads about different kinds of food, and I can't tell you how many of those ads were for Pizza Hut. Finally, I want to wrap up this video with a story about a man that I tried to meet while I was here, but unfortunately his schedule was just a little too busy. Pictured on the right of this shot is Toshi. I had met Toshi because both my family and Toshi himself were appearing as featured guests on Anderson Cooper's daily talk show airing on November 7th, 2011. This particular episode was dealing with the grieving process. My family was brought on to talk about the recent passing of my father. However, Toshi, who was at the time 53 years old, had experienced a devastating set of events that led to the loss of his wife, son, mother, and father within the span of only 10 years. We tried our best to meet up, but unfortunately we lived a little too far away, and Toshi has a lot of work to do with his university English teaching. Regardless, I wanted to share a quote that Toshi gave me in an email exchange that we had in the beginning of this trip. It's infamous here in Japan that sometime during the summer they enter rainy season, where the rain is supposed to be persistent and you're unable to see the sun for days on end. Toshi sent me this quote saying, "Now we are in the rainy season in Japan. Even on a rainy day, the sun is always shining above the clouds. Stay positive and be happy." It was such a simple message, but I absolutely loved it and I needed to share it with all of you. So, to wrap things up, Toshi, I hope everything is well with you and I hope the future is nothing but the best. I want to thank my parents and my family for supporting me throughout this entire trip. I want to thank all the amazing friends that I've met through this experience, and hopefully we can stay in touch after we return. And lastly, I want to thank you, the viewer, for supporting me and letting me do what I love to do. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hopefully will see you again soon. Bye.